on for sure.
Hydration, absorption,
Feel silkier.
and perhaps most incredibly, your strength, flexibility, and energy. Amazing.
Wow. Crazy.
Well, salud. I'm loving it.
Go to www.vitalizerapp.com and make your smartphone brilliant.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Hi, this is Faith. Welcome to the Faith Washington Show. We will discuss life, business, leadership, family, and fun, and what happens when your view of the world expands. A wide variety of guests will provide insight on how they do business, family, and leadership in their lives. So now, here's today's show. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm Faith Washington, and you're watching the Faith Washington Show. We're live on Facebook, Periscope, 95.3 FM, 1470 AM, and the iHeartRadio app, WWNN. Thank you, Dawn and Freddie, for being the producers here at my show. And thank you for the Vitalizer app, John and Vince. How are you guys? Hope you're watching tonight. I have a very special guest this evening, Brandi Patterson from Texas. She is my friend and colleague, and she's been on the show a couple of times. She also has a stake in the foundation Hannah for Hope with her friend Raina, and she were on a couple weeks ago. Folks, I've got bronchitis, so I'll be eating cough drops. So if you notice that I'm chewing on something, that's what it is. Brandi, are you here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey, can we get a picture?
Well, that's what I'm trying to put on here. Hold on.
Okay. All right. No worries about it. Listen, no worries. I'll introduce you while you guys are trying to figure out the video piece. Guys, Brandi is the owner of B. Patterson Inc., and B. Patterson Inc. actually ships cars across the U.S. I think the globe as well, but pretty much the U.S. is their main territory. They're based in Dallas, and this is her line. It is: refuse to listen to anyone telling you what you can or cannot do. I love that. You know, the first time I saw Brandi, my friend Jeffrey Roach sent a picture of her and said, "You got to meet this woman." And the first time I saw her, I was like, "Oh my gosh, what a cool, wonderful, interesting looking woman." And because he had told me a little bit about her, I said, "I can't wait to meet her. I can't wait to meet her in person." And you know, it's just this really cool vibe. And we got on the phone and we hit it off immediately. So our very first conversation was pretty intense and very cool. Anyway, she really works in a very male-dominated industry. Shipping cars isn't exactly something a gorgeous woman is going to do, but she's been very, very successful at it, and a lot of challenges along the way. She's also an author, and she wrote a book, Sins of the Father, and you can get that on Amazon.com, Sins of the Father. And I just want to kind of let you guys know that so you know enough about Brandi. And we are going to talk about kind of a taboo sort of subject. And no, it's not sex. We're going to talk about insecurity. Insecurity, jealousy, envy, backstabbing, backbiting, the kinds of things that we as females have noticed, and it occurs across the board for men, women, business, personal lives, etc. And it's something that's very pervasive in our world. And Brandi, I'd like to hear a little bit from you about what you think about our subject and kind of what goes through your head when you hear the word insecurity, what it makes you think of.
Well, I think we all go through that. I think we still do. And
Agreed.
I think, you know, yeah, absolutely. And the first thing that comes to my mind is with insecurity is missing self-worth. You're missing something when you are experiencing an insecurity, whether you and I discussed whether someone gives it to you or you think someone gives it to you. It's a choice, like we talked about.
Right, it is.
So I think it's just something missing internally that either was created at a young age or was created in a relationship, whatever it is, it's placed there. And as women, we have to learn how to navigate to get rid of that within ourselves, because everybody's going to create insecurities. That some people, that's their sole job, is they want to make you feel insecure.
Right.
And especially when they see strong women like us.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for them to. Yeah, it's hard for them to.
We're definitely a different pill to swallow. Yeah, it's.
Aren't we?
It's very interesting, because when you meet people who are secure within themselves, they're very free. They don't have many hang-ups. They don't really feel uncomfortable in any given situation. They're just happy going through life. And, for me, that process has been the freedom of just not really caring what anyone thinks or says or does, because, frankly, other people's opinions are not my business. What someone thinks about me or says about you is not my business. And I should never waste any brain space on thinking about things that other people think. I should be concerned with my little space, how I'm impacting the world. Am I being positive? Am I actually creating positive impact? Am I being the best mom that I can be? No, sometimes I'm not. Am I the best friend that I can be? No, sometimes I'm not. There's so many different ways that we can do a better job of being who we are, who we're meant to be. And how does that resound for you?
Yeah, I think it's all on target for sure. I mean, I think that, you have to, I don't know that I changed anything you just said, Faith. I think it's very much so what you said, as far as like you have to be around positive people, be in connection with that, and you can't let the people that want to tear you down. You just can't. It's hard sometimes. It is hard sometimes. But here's my thing, and I know this is my thing. If you meet 2 or more hot messes a day, chances are you're the hot mess.
Wait, you have to repeat that, because I still can't stop laughing at it.
Hot messes a day, 2 or more hot messes a day, chances are you're the hot mess. You've got the issues, right? So
it's so true.
Stay away from the hot messes. Stay away from them,
Right.
Because they'll suck you dry like vampires. They just pull the energy out of you, that positive energy that you've worked so hard to, retain.
Right. Accumulate.
And, it's a daily thing. It's totally a daily thing,
Yeah. And I think, once again, it comes back to that freedom of allowing yourself to be who you are and loving that person. I always, when I'm coaching people, I just remind them gently, look in the mirror. Who is staring back at you? The person who is looking back at you, okay, you're going to have to live with them for the rest of your life. Wouldn't it be great if you loved them instead of being opposed to them? Every time that we judge someone else, or we speak about someone unkindly, or we hold them, in a lower esteem than ourselves, then what occurs is we're really tearing ourselves down. And that's not loving you. The more you love you, the easier it is to be free with other people, because then you see them for who they are, and you don't have to question who you are. You get you. You understand who you are, so then you give them leeway to be who they are in that moment. Maybe they're not where they're supposed to be in 10 years. So what? Is it hurting you? Not really. And if it is hurting you, then you probably shouldn't be in that space anyway. What do you think of that?
Right. No, I think it's very true. I think that you have to surround yourself with that positive thing. And it's it's something very learned. I mean, it took me years. And whether it is getting away from a relationship, or getting away from a job, or separating yourself from family members that have dragged you down, it's a lot. You have to. It doesn't come overnight. And, depending on where the insecurity or those things of unself-worth came into your life will kind of depend on how you navigate through it and become that person that you should be.
Yeah, and I think so.
Having confidence in yourself.
I think, Brandi, some of those examples, and I'll speak for myself because I don't want to speak for you, but I had a pretty rough upbringing, and you know about that. I've shared it with some of my closer friends, and it really did impact my ability to move about the world, and it very much kept me stuck because I felt like that's all I really deserved, and that's all I really should do, and this is all I can do. And then when I finally broke free from that and just said, I don't care anymore. I'm not happy doing this. I'm going to do something else. And when I made that choice inside of me, it's like everything dropped off. None of the stuff that I've ever been through really matters now, which is a pretty cool place to be. And that gives me the freedom to accept people for who they are and meet them exactly where they're at. And, I don't know if you can think of other examples of how people become insecure. So I think about childhood things and, traumatic events that we have lived through or been through, people who've been through war.
That was the one thing that I told you, my earliest memories as a child was, if we 2 or 3 or 4 years old, you had an accident, in your panties or something, and my parents' way of breaking us was to put the soiled linens over our head and put us in the shower.
That's just so bad.
Water over our head, and that was the way of trying to break us. But like you and I discussed, was if that's what you know, then you don't know anything else, right? And so
exactly.
For me, that insecurity started way long ago when I was just a little kid. And so when you have that there and the people that are supposed to protect you and lift you up and give you that guidance are the ones that are actually tearing you down.
Right.
And you don't have that foundational, security within yourself because you're being drugged down by the people you love the most. It's hard.
It's very difficult to overcome. Yeah.
It really is. And then you meet people like you just said with traumatic events that they go through, whether it's a boyfriend or a husband that cheats on them or,
right.
Whatever it is, it doesn't necessarily start at childhood. It can be created over time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the biggest thing is just like you said, know your value at all times. Know who you are. Know what you have to offer people. Know it yourself. And then whenever someone has a voiced opinion about you, it's not going to matter because you know who you are.
Right.
You know what you have to offer. And you and I talked about this is first impressions of people. What's your first impression? A lot of people's first impression of me is I'm very standoffish. I'm very kind of reserved, dry. I have this sitting chronic, I don't like you face on me all the time. And
we have a term for that.
I just said it the nicest way I could say it, face. I'm just going to say it right now. That's the nicest I can be. So, anyway, I have that. I think that, that's a person's first impression of me because I'm so serious. I'll have people come up and go, smile, it can't be that bad. And I'm like, it's not. But because I'm such a serious person, they take me wrong. And you and I discussed this with people miss the opportunity to actually get to know you because they're so busy on judging the first thing that they see that, you may be missing the best person in your life because of your own insecurity causing you to be judgmental.
I agree with that. It's really a shame because there's so many missed opportunities because of that type of thing. You miss out on friendship, you miss out on business opportunities, you miss out on, family and friends because you have an opinion of someone, and that opinion is solely based on who you're being at the time. So when you're bound up and you are that insecure person who, is so worried about, oh my gosh, this person, this person has all these qualities and this is where I'm at and the comparison, it's that constant contrast compare. And it just doesn't serve. And after a while, when you really stop and think about it, if you're not serving yourself and you're not valuing you, how is it you're ever going to fully value another human being? There's a piece missing. There's a piece in your heart and your head that are disconnected.
Yeah.
That's not love. That's like conditional, well, I'll like you if you think the same way that I do, or I'll like you if you look a certain way or you don't look a certain way. And I find that, my whole world opened up when I just realized, man, I just love everybody. I can't help it. I just do.
Right. And you do. And then let's go to, let's jump over with what you just said. Like, the people that you thought you had this wonderful, great relationship with, solid as a rock, you've known them a long time, maybe your whole life. Someone else comes into the life that's very temporary, and it changes your whole relationship with that person because of that one person's opinion. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I mean,
totally.
have you ever experienced
you know
that?
what, Brandi? I just experienced that recently. It's like I had a long-term friend that I'd known, 5-6 years, and suddenly this person got a significant other, and that significant other is extremely insecure and messed up and not at the same level as my friend. And, I'm finding that in their trying to bond, this person got all like wiggy-wacky. And I find myself
Like
on the
crazy,
phone with
like
someone
crazy,
who's
crazy, like
completely
certified crazy on you.
Yeah, somebody who's completely disjointed. I'm thinking, okay, wow, it's interesting that my friend didn't stand up and say anything and go, wow, that's kind of whack. You shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, needless to
What
say,
does that say, though, to me? It's like it kind of says to me, like, okay, are you missing something if you're not going to actually send your genuine, like the person that's been there for you for the last 5 or 6 years,
right?
and allow someone to, because that person to me is going to drag him down.
Well, of course.
Down. They're going to drag him down. And
but it's a choice. But remember, Brandi, and I looked at this. I looked at this from every angle, and I realized it's a choice. Every day we wake up, the world is spinning, and we can choose who we interact with. We can choose if we want to up level and be with people that are going to bring us up and make us better, or we can choose to stay in that same comfortable mess. And for most people, comfort is really where they want to stay. They don't want to run outside of that comfort zone and go, wow, something, this is probably not a good thing for me. It's not healthy. Like, I know I don't want to be in those positions where people are not healthy for me. And
no,
I think
it's a feeling. You just feel the negative energy.
Oh, absolutely.
And that negative energy just radiates, and it just automatically puts you in a really foul mood.
Yeah, and you can't walk around feeling that way. I mean, I can't.
Oh no,
I can't function that way. It's really not a good
either.
thing.
For a long time, I did because of my enabling way of the lack of confidence in me. I made up for it by giving to other people, whether they were good people or bad people for me. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So,
and that's often what people who are givers do is we give so much, and then we, at some point when you don't know better, you're magnetizing in those people who are takers. It's kind of like that's part and parcel of what you do. It's a pattern. It's that comfort zone. And when you step outside of that comfort zone, you recognize what you're doing, and then you choose to stop doing it. And then as soon as you relax, you look in the mirror, you love yourself, you esteem who you are, guess what? Everything changes.
Yeah.
The people that filter into your life, totally different. They're secure, they're solid, they have great relationships around them, and then you're able to recognize what a great relationship looks like.
And then that first time you recognize it, Faith, that first time you look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, what was I thinking?
I know.
Like, where have I been?
I know.
I mean, it's like a whole new world, because you're like, man, I've cheated and robbed myself so long of this joy that I've tried to give other people to fulfill myself, and realize that I need to fulfill myself. I don't need to try to fulfill other people to fulfill myself. And And then when that light bulb comes on, you're like, it's like the whoa, it's like the sun shining. You're ready to tackle everything, and you want to give that same thing you just realized to other people.
Exactly,
Say, this is possible.
And that was something that we talked about before the show too. Is that we're both leaders, and this is my little saying: if you're my tribe, you're my vibe. So the people that I want to have around me vibrate at a very similar frequency, and we don't necessarily think the same, but we have that same desire for impact, positive impact, leaving a legacy, and wanting to see our world as a better place. And it starts with our perspective internally. Once that perspective internally shifts, as you were just talking about, because that's what it is, it shifts from not being sure of yourself, not understanding who you are, not loving your gifts and talents that you've been given from God. It shifts then to others. Then you start to see that high scope, and then nothing that anyone says, thinks, or does affects you. And that, to me, is that freedom that I was talking about in the beginning. It's just a massive freedom within yourself to move about the world. I think about it this way. When they say take off your seatbelts in a plane, you're free to move about the cabin.
Right. Yeah, and here's how I'm going to compare that to what you just said is you've been sitting on that plane for I don't know how long, and you've had that seatbelt on, you're just like itching to take that bad boy off. You're ready to get out of that seat and move around, okay? It doesn't matter if it's unstable or not. You're going to take it off. And it is. It's that itching moment the minute you take it off.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my gosh, I don't want to sit back down. No more seatbelts for me. Just,
It's the law, girl. You got to put the seatbelt on.
Analogy. Love it.
Oh, my goodness. But I think that, in being strong leaders, you must be secure within yourself. People feel it. They sense it. They understand if someone is sure of themselves. I mean, I'm certain there have been times when you first started your business, when I first started, if you're not completely secure in yourself, people feel that. They feel that vibe.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, I don't know if I want to go there. Not real positive.
Oh, yeah.
And then as you move into your business and you become more, more, how do I want to say, you're just better at what you do. You're faster, you're more efficient, and people just get it because what you're saying is on point, and you know how to help solve their problems. You've got the solutions, and that's the leadership piece. And, like we were talking about, leaders need followers, and followers are people who are working within the corporate structure or working, in a startup company, because I deal with entrepreneurs all the time. Those followers, those workers need to have a loving, strong, compassionate leader. It always brings out the best in them. And I think that's critically important. I'm certain you're that way for your team. I'm certain you have their backs.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do have. I have their back just like they've got my back. And it's like, because you and I are multitaskers. We know what we want to do. We get it done. But we need someone to help us once we move on to the next task. We need to be sure that those followers are going to follow through with the task. And they are, because that's how their drive is. They want to be told what to do and get it done because that's just how they roll. And I love that because I would not be who I am today if it wasn't for those people that were my backup team.
Yeah.
Because it's a team. It's a team effort.
It's all about team. That's, even family and friends. That's the same thing. Even, your work team, your family team, your friend team, it's all of us running in the same direction. And it's not that we necessarily believe everything the same, but we're that like-mindedness. Like you and I vibe because we both work really super hard. We both have been through a great deal in life. We love excellence in ourselves and in other people, and we love to bring out the best in people. And that's our ability to be secure within ourselves and to uplift other people around us to be able to do the same.
Yeah, and you said to see the best in people. You and I'm going to speak for myself. I would not be the best in me had someone not believed that there was a best in me. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally.
So,
same thing here. Absolutely.
I'm so thankful. Yeah, I'm so thankful for that because someone saw something in me that I didn't see. And I think with a lot of women and the insecurities that we all face, I think if they allowed someone to see that best in them, maybe they would see the best in themselves.
Agreed. I think that's very important and potent because I think our message today is really about discussing the insecurity that we see around us that we'd really rather not have there, that we as leaders would like to contribute to the upliftment of women and men too. Okay, both go through it. All right, I see both, coach a lot of men, and it's very prevalent, and it doesn't have to be that way, but it is a process, as you said, to get people to look in the mirror, love themselves, and move forward in whatever it is that they want to do with confidence. You know, sometimes you don't have all the confidence in the world because maybe you're a little unsure. But if you tell yourself, I can do it, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do whatever it is that I'm interested in doing. Like I did. I just jumped. Like, okay, all right, I'll figure it out on the way down. I'll build the plane on the way down. And yeah, and you did the same thing. It's the same thing. You had a plan, but yet you still had to believe that you would be able to execute in a primarily male-dominated realm.
Right. And I mean, it's just what you said is so true. And, you know, men or women, it doesn't matter. I think that, you know, here's the deal. I think if the energy we give out to other people, like the love we like to give to other people, if we just figured out just a small portion of how to give it to yourself, then you'd be able to feel the joy that you're giving to everybody else around you, you know? And so you got to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you're going to be a miserable person. I mean,
yes,
miserable.
And we meet many of them daily. And you meet them, but I always recognize they're hurting. I always tell people,
I do too.
people who are hurting hurt other people. And, you know, for whatever it's worth, if you're out there and you've listened to the broadcast tonight and you're hurting, you can call me. You can call Brandi. My phone number is 561-702-3986. 561-702-3986. Brandi, what's your number just in case somebody wants to contact you?
214-212-6516.
And give it again, a little louder.
214-212-6516.
Thank you. Brandi Patterson, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. I really appreciate it. Folks, we are live on Facebook, Periscope, 95.3 FM, 1470 AM, and the iHeartRadio app, WWNN. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it tonight. We'll see you next week, Thursday evening, 7:30. See you later.
You've been listening and watching The Faith Washington Show, where we have widened your view of the world. Our guests share their business, family, and fun life hacks to make your world better. Hope you've learned something to apply to your life and business.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.